Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of a podcast that was known as Illegal Contact Podcast, may still be known as Illegal Contact Podcast, with a totally different spin. I am Kyle Priestley, Thomas Pensiero, and Christian Taylor. We are here for college football talk. I'm excited, guys. College football, it's here.
Football is back.
It's been way too long.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. I mean, I love celebrating Christ's birth and everything, but this is the most wonderful time of the year. Let's be honest.
Especially now because I love warm weather. So we have warm weather and football. I know football normally goes with cold weather. That's when it really gets good. But I really especially like when there's football, warm weather, some golf, some baseball. And it's still light out.
You just named my vacation next week, Thomas. My vacation next week is going to be golfing in Northern Michigan, going to be going to a Michigan State football game, and hopefully going to watch the Tigers beat your Yankees.
Oh, that's perfect. There you go. Yeah, sure, beat us. I don't care anymore.
I got to see Miguel Cabrera one more time.
Today, so there you go. Hey, last time. There you go.
He won't hit 3 home runs at Comerica, so that's.
Does he even have 3 on the year? Is that?
Who, Cabby?
We should.
I think Cabby has more than 3 on the year.
Yeah, we should have done some season-long bets on baseball, and definitely should have took the under on his season total home runs.
Well, depending on how this goes, maybe we'll do that. So that segues us in. So we are changing up the podcast. We are going to make this a little bit more streamlined. What we're going to do, but this is now. Let's first say this: we are Christians here. We do not condone gambling. This is not a gambling podcast. This is an odds podcast, and we do not encourage you to gamble, but we encourage you to use your skills to see what your knowledge is of playing the odds of what things are. So for that purpose, we are using Monopoly money for this. I wanted to have actual Monopoly money cash, and maybe that'll still come out later in this season as it comes along. But that's what we're going to do. So we are going to play the 3 of us, and we may have some others that come in. Peyton and Jared may come in from time to time. They won't be in our season total running. But the 3 of us will be a season total running, competing against each other to see who can finish both the college football and the NFL ending. For this episode, we're going to do our preseason college football odds, where we're going to be picking what we see as futures for the college football 2023 season, and then we will pick week 0 of a couple of games from this week. So, going to be a fun time, guys. Test our knowledge, see if we were to be stupid and be gambling, wasting our money away, how much in the hole would we have our thumbs left after the year? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Hey, I have some good faith. I think we're all high-end, high sports IQ, right? We all like numbers. We all like to take pride in knowing the sports, especially football, like we do. So I think we have a good chance to be in the green, to have more money of Monopoly than when we started. And we have the freedom to pick. Eventually, we'll have some more freedom, pick and choose kind of the different spots that we like the best. So we're not hampered to a set of rules or anything like that. So we have some freedom. Gives us a lot of leeway there to be able to use our expertise in the best way possible.
Yeah. I know I'm going up. I think you and Christian have a leg up on me here.
See,
with the odds side of things, you seem in the past we've talked odds have been a little bit more than what I have on the odds. I usually play
Christian and I are definitely into the weeds a bit more in Twitter or X and looking at numbers and different odds and things like that. But I will say both of you have a leg up in college football for sure. College football knowledge.
That's true.
You guys have a big leg up there. Although I do feel like NFL, maybe that might be more of my expertise. So we'll see. I'm really actually curious to see how that's going to play out at the end. If, our interests really play into how we did on these seasons, because I'm expecting to probably do worse in college than the both of you, but I also have higher expectations for myself in NFL. I'm hoping that I do better in NFL than the both of you. So we'll see if that actually plays out the same.
I mean, what I feel like I'm hearing is the Venn diagram for college football is just pointing towards me. So that's a good sign. And let the record show in our picks last year, even though They were just money line picks, but I do believe I was top in college and NFL. So
You were.
let's not forget that.
Yeah,
job,
good luck. Good luck. Repeat it.
That's right. All right. So again, for the purpose of what this is going to be our preseason college football episode. What we're going to do for the season is we are going to have each $7,000 for each of us for each league. So 7,000 for college football, 7,000 for NFL. 5,000 of that is what we have in a bank to be able to bet throughout the season on our games with our Monopoly winnings. For the preseason, it is $2,000, and we have to wager all $2,000. We have 4 categories tonight that we're going to go through. So we're going to do our conference winners. We're going to do our college football playoff teams. We're going to do our fan picks, which is going to be 4 teams. We said kind of as a layout, 2 teams that you cheer for, 2 teams that you cheer against. Didn't have to be necessarily teams you cheer against or cheer for, just ones you have interest in picking something to go along. And then the final will be, we'll have our wagers. You have to choose a Heisman wager. You have to choose a 3-way parlay for a futures for the season. And then you have 2 other season future bets that you can choose that we did not use. So again, this will be $2,000 of Monopoly total. And that will then go on to, at the end of the season, that will be, if we're close, that'll probably be what makes or breaks for actually who wins out on that.
Especially with some of these, we were talking pre-show, some of these might have some big odds. So if you hit on one of those, the parlay, or you get the Heisman right, some of these could be big, even though we might not be betting as much on some of these. The odds can really get you and push you over the top, especially if we're all within a similar range in the season-long bets. So
yes,
these matter. These do matter.
Yeah, they do. It was fun. It was fun looking at these the last couple of days and kind of playing how I wanted to mess with these. And I had definite things in my mind that I thought I was going to go with. And as I got into actually making my picks and throwing my limited resources that I had out at it, I kind of changed things up a little bit. So that'll be for that aspect. When we get into the regular season, again, we'll explain this again briefly next week episode. It is $5,000. That $5,000 has to last you the whole season. Now, if you do run out during the season, we are going to do a bookie.
Don't even bother.
We're going to do a bookie loan shark. And the bookie loan shark can loan you out money. However, you will be paying us a percentage of whoever is in the positive on whatever you have for winnings that get you back into the positive at that point in time.
This is for you, Jared, if you ever pop in.
That's right.
This is the Jared rule.
But here's the thing with Jared. I feel like he'll go so small with his plays that he's not going to go negative regardless.
That's true.
He's not dropping a $3,000 whale on something. So
he'll take that $5,000 Monopoly money. He'll take that $5,000 Monopoly money in week 1 and put $50 of it into Clemson winning the national championship, and then just hold that other $4,950 and just hope he wins with that. So
Clemson money line, even if it's like minus 500. Clemson money line $5 each week, and it'll net him $5 total.
I mean, betting $1 in Final Jeopardy is a strategy. So I mean, it could work out for him.
Yes, and it was going to be also great for this because we said we're playing. There's going to be some fandom that definitely comes into this, but we're trying to play more on what we think would be a smart way to use this playing the odds. If Peyton joins in on us, all we have to keep on doing is put up Alabama, and he's going to take the under on him every single time. So it'll be good. All right, so let's get it started, fellas. Let's go ahead and go with our conference picks. So let's start off let's start with our we're going to give an option to have 2 non-power 5s. So I only chose 1 non-power 5. And of course, I had to go with the Liberty Flames being in Conference USA because it's their first time in Conference USA. To be honest, this may sound like a fanish bet. It is not. I think Liberty has a very, very good chance to be able to come out on top of Conference USA. I think it's between them and Western Kentucky. But I'm going to give us Liberty Flames the edge. I am going to go ahead and put $25 of my $250 from this slot on Liberty winning. And that is plus $250. So my winnings would be $87.50 off that. Christian.
So I went with both of them. I did 2. And I'll start off with the smaller one. I went to the American. I have SMU to win the American plus 300, and I have $30 on that. I really like the team that they have this year. They return a ton, and their offense especially is an incredible offense. So I think Tulane is going to regress some this year. There is a big pack at the top of the American. I almost thought about like FAU with Tom Herman as their coach and a couple others, but ultimately I went with SMU there at plus 300. And then the other one that I went with in the Sun Belt, I went with South Alabama, also plus 300. And this is actually where I put most of my money for the conference winners, and I put $100 on South Alabama.
Okay. All right.
I think they could be in a New Year's Six Bowl in terms of the top G5 team. I love their coach, Kane Womack. I think he's great. And Sunbelt has deteriorated a little bit. I think Coastal will fall off some. App State is falling off. JMU, I think, is going to regress some. So it really comes down to South Alabama or Troy. And I think South Alabama can take care of business.
I like your wager for the American. I was going back and forth on if I wanted to throw something in on Tulane, being able to have a repeat to come back. And there was enough there that I was like, I don't think so. I think that somebody else is going to be able to take that. So I think that's good thinking there, Christian.
Appreciate it.
All right, Thomas.
I have none. I'm playing it safe.
You're playing it safe.
I'm playing it safe. I didn't want to reach here. I know, I could have put $10 or something small, but I this will come up in a few other bets. I have some non-Power 5 conference winners, potentially my parlay or in my other bets. But in this instance, I'm playing it safe, and I just stuck to the 5 Power 5 conference winners.
All right. Well, let's have you go first then, since you didn't have one for non-Power 5. I think a good place to be able to start is we need to be able to mourn and bid farewell. This will be the funeral of the Pac-12. This will be the last Pac-12 as we know it champion that we're going to be placing wagers on here. So, Thomas.
All right. So I will go. I'll start with the Pac-12 then. I actually do have Oregon at plus 320. I think with Bo Nix back, they got close last year. I know USC is the favorite, and I toiled with Utah here as well, but I'm going to go safe. I think with the veteran leadership of Bo Nix, he played really well, kept his name in the Heisman conversation pretty long last year, and I think their schedule is fairly favorable. So I went Oregon at plus 320, and all of my conference winners, I have $50 on each. I left it even for these Power 5 conference, $50 each. You want me to just go down the line, or do you have another conference you want me to go to next?
We'll let Christian go to the next conference.
All right,
we'll go with Pac-12 here.
Yep, no doubt. So same line of reasoning, but ultimately came out with a different answer. So I went Washington plus 340, and I have $15 on them. It's tied for my smallest bet of these, but like you said, I think USC is the favorite. They're obviously amazing, but their defense is their liability. So that being the case, I think the defense is going to be better, but I still think that can hurt them. I think there's also big question marks around Utah with some of the changes in their program. And so I'm not sold on them. So really it was between Washington and Oregon for me. But I do like Michael Penix a lot, and I do like their defense slightly more than Oregon's defense. So that led me to taking Washington plus 340.
I will say that the Pac-12 is the hardest one to pick, in my opinion, this year, which is saying something.
I also would say that this is maybe the strongest Pac-12 in a while.
It is.
That's odd. It is. There's a lot of high-profile quarterback names.
Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr., all potential Heisman.
DJU.
That's just,
I mean, not Heisman, but still.
Yep. And Utah brings back what was his name?
I can see him, but I cannot.
Reisner, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have a lot of high profile quarterback names for a conference that is on the out.
Yep. I decided to play it safe with the favorite, going with USC and Caleb Williams.
Still might have to.
So I'm taking them to win. the Pac-12, and that's plus 200 for $50, so it'll be $100 winnings on that.
Nice.
All right, let's go to the Big 12. So this is where I decided to go ahead and play a very small amount of money, but I think everybody's Texas, Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma. And I think you're probably right. They probably are the two best teams. But I could see both Texas and Oklahoma falling a bit at different points in time. And because I'm not that confident, I decided, you know what? I'm going to branch out. This is not a super confidence aspect, but I'm going to go a small amount that could have huge dividends. So I'm taking Oklahoma State Cowboys to win the Big 12. That is plus 3,000 at $25. That'd be $750 payout. So, throwing it out there. I know it's not a super strong pick, but let's go big. Christian?
I respect it. I mean, obviously, I wanted to respond and say, hey, like, think about this with Oklahoma State. But as you said, it's plus 3,000. You're taking a shot at it. So I can't argue with that. I did play it safe. I took Texas at plus 100. So at even money, I have $50 on them. I do just think they're the top team in the conference. I think they're head and shoulders even above like in Oklahoma. I know they lost Bijan, but I think they have a great running back room. They're returning basically everybody else, so I really like their chances. I do think they're going to face somebody other than Oklahoma in the conference championship game, though.
Kyle, I like your thought process there.
Mike Gundy.
It's hard. It is hard to trust Texas lately. I don't have faith in Oklahoma under Brett Venables, and I did flirt with actually Kansas State at plus 500. You can get it at plus 700 in some places. I flirted with that, but I ultimately, Christian, I'm with you there. I falled back. I went back to Texas plus 100, $50. I think they're the best team. Quinn Ewers takes another step. That offense will be electric, and they do have the best defense in the conference as well. So Texas at plus 100, easy pick for me.
All right, let's go on down to in my opinion, well, it's actually the worst football conference, but they've been, because of one team, they've been more the third best in recent history. Let's go with the ACC here. So this is, you're going to hear this one come up a little bit later on. This is going to be a contradictory one for me when we get to a later point in time. But this is where I decided, hey, I'm going to hedge and go between two different things. I'm taking Clemson at plus 150 for $50 for $75 to win the ACC. Went between them and Florida State. I think Florida State has a really good chance at winning the conference. There's just Clemson has enough depth there that when it comes to me picking a winner from this section, I couldn't bring myself to go against and take another risk that I didn't know off of already having gone to one with Oklahoma State. So it's at Clemson right now. Christian?
I went with Florida State. So that's plus 170, put $20 on it. It might be an anti-Jared bias. I don't know. But ultimately, I just couldn't take Clemson. So I went with Florida State. I struggle to see anybody else other than those two. Clemson, as you said, does have a ton of depth. I really like some of the guys that they have, but I'm really hoping for Florida State to show up. So that's what I went with.
Yeah, the odds do show that it is a two-man race between Florida State and Clemson. I think the third best odds, UNC plus 1,100. Pittsburgh's right there as well. I went Florida State as well. I'll get into it a little bit more because I have another bet on them. But at plus 170, I think it's time they make that step and regain the conference. And I think Florida State, I had $50 on Florida State at plus 170.
All right. Let's go to the soon-to-be Big 20. Let's go with Big 10 here and see how this will be the last year of divisions in the Big 10 as well. Also be the last year of divisions for the SEC. But let's go ahead and talk with the Big 10 first. So this is another one where I'm splitting up some bets here throughout the way. Big 10 is almost just as hard, honestly, to pick as the Pac-12, just a little less hard for me than the Pac-12. I don't know why I've been high on Penn State this offseason, but as much as I have, but I feel like they just have enough things coming together, and there's enough other distractions out there that I could see Penn State will match up very well against Michigan, and they always can play Ohio State strong. Deep, talented roster, new quarterback, but deep, talented roster. I think that there's going to be enough that they can maybe take those two surprisingly, and then almost be like a three-way tie, but because they're going to have the 2 wins over Ohio State and Michigan, that they're going to go ahead and get it. I think Michigan's one, I'm saying for sure, loss they're going to have on the season will be to Penn State, but I'm going to give it to Penn State getting a tiebreaker, with Penn State having one of their loss in there to a team that I like to wear garb for. So that's Penn State plus 600 for $25 for a payout of 150. Christian?
I went Penn State as well, plus 600. I have $20 on them.
Okay.
And it's a very similar thinking. I am high on them. I think all three teams have a shot. All three of those teams, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, have a shot at making the playoffs, which I did divvy up my money somewhat, like spread it around, and we'll continue to talk about that. But my thinking is, at least I can see them each beating each other. So I think, first of all, I heard some people talking about this the other day, and I completely agree. Michigan is built to beat Ohio State, not to win a national championship. So I think Michigan is going to beat Ohio State. I think Penn State is going to beat Michigan. And then I think Ohio State will beat Penn State. So that brings us to a three-way tie. However, I think Ohio State likely loses a game somewhere else in the schedule, maybe at Wisconsin or something like that, something crazy like that. So if that's the case, that knocks Ohio State out, and then Penn State has the tiebreaker. So that's why I went with them plus 600.
See, I like that logic, and that is why I almost went with the dark horse here, because Kyle, you said it is a tough conference to pick, because the top is really solid, and then I like what Christian said, where there is a good chance that the way that they match up, they all do beat each other, which could open the door for a Wisconsin. I know Kyle, you're not high on Wisconsin, but I actually thought about it.
I'm not later on.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pick Wisconsin. I did go Ohio State here. I feel like I had to play it safe at some point here with them. So Ohio State, I had them at plus 165, $50. Pretty good odds. But I did flirt with almost going Wisconsin, but ultimately I'll play it safe.
All right. So who again? Just to make sure.
Ohio State.
Plus
okay. 165, $50.
That's what you said, and then I second guessed myself saying so. Okay.
No. Yeah.
We got you there. All right. Let's go finally then to the SEC. For me, it's Georgia. Until I see something different. I understand that they've lost 25 NFL players over the last 2 years, but they lost tons of players last year, and they just rebuilt. I trust Kirby until I see something different. I think they have the easiest schedule too coming out of the SEC. I think they roll right to another championship. So Georgia minus 110.75.
Georgia minus 110, $50. Easy.
Ole Miss plus 3,000.
Oh, okay. There you go. There's the see. You did what I did with the big 12 there. That's good thinking there, Christian.
Exactly. So here's my thing. I mean, Georgia by far and away is the best team. However, I'm not going to take a future at with minus money. So that being the case,
a man of principle.
Sure. And we'll have a little bit of reasoning. I think Georgia will run away with the SEC East. Sorry, Peyton. I think Tennessee is going to regress a lot with Joe Milton. But as you said, Kyle, their schedule is extremely easy. I don't think they're really going to be tested at all for most of the regular season. And so we're really not going to know truly who Georgia is.
We saw that a bit last year, where they kind of got lazy regular season, where a lot of games got close.
Exactly. We don't know what the new quarterback is going to be like. Should be great considering just how good they are being a system that allows a quarterback to thrive in. But I decided because of that, I wanted to take a stab. Alabama and LSU, both, I mean, great teams. I do think Alabama is going to regress as well. Not sold on Brian Kelly's team. So Texas A&M is going to be trash. Mississippi State, unfortunately, is not going to be good because of the loss of Coach Gundy. So that being the case, I decided to take a stab with Ole Miss. I think it's good value, $15 on it, but plus 3,000.
Who's playing quarterback for them this year?
Jackson Dart should be.
They're sticking with Dart,
which I'm not crazy about. But I mean, Lane Kiffin has been just, I feel like, slowly developing that team more and more. So I think they could do something.
I like the strategy. It's good. It's good thinking there. You're playing on the future. So, let's roll that right in then to our college football playoff team picks. Obviously, I said that I think Georgia wins. That means they're going to be a playoff team. So that's going to be my first one. I'm going to take Georgia. They are minus 220, so $50 I have on that one. Not much, but I couldn't see myself going against it. Because I took USC to win as well, I'm putting USC into the CFP. And for the second year in a row, I'm saying there are going to be two teams from the same conference. However, I'm putting Oregon as the other team out of – I know I picked USC to win it, but I think USC is probably going to be like the 2 seed. And I think Oregon's going to be able to be like a 4 seed. I think they're probably going to be 2 and 3 coming into the championship game. And I took Oregon plus 600, so that'd be a $100 on it. That'd be a $600 payout for that. And then because I had to split it up, and I'm just trying to play smart and spread some of these out for my Big Ten, not knowing what Michigan Wolverines to make the college football playoff again.
Wow.
Put $50 for $62.50 just to hedge, safe to not lose everything on this. So I also, let me say this. I also can very much easily see, I don't think Ohio State makes the playoff this year. I really don't. I could easily see the other conference that gets 2 teams in instead of the Pac-12. I could see the Big Ten easily getting 2 teams in. I could see Michigan jumping even to number 1 at some point in time, and Penn State beating them, and then it's being split between them. Penn State goes to the Big Ten championship, wins, and Michigan still gets in by the only loss being 2. I hope that's not the only loss. I hope we destroy them, but again, playing it, not what I hope, what I think. So that's where we are.
I've been known to do a couple of hate bets like that. I get it.
Do you have it here?
I know.
It's an emotional hedge.
No, I don't. I mean, you guys know me. I don't have many hates in college football, so there are no hate bets here for me today. I played it kind of safe with the college football playoff bets here. I didn't want to go too outside the box. I left those for a few other bets. I kept it at Georgia, $100. I kept Texas in only $25 at plus 300. I think if they win the conference, they're most likely in. And obviously, I think they're going to win their conference. I put Ohio State in. I get it. It's not as good of a team, but I just think I know somebody from the conference is getting in. I wasn't going to put Michigan.
I need to see that front 7 for Ohio State.
Yeah,
be more. And
what's
it's quarterback going to look like? I mean,
it's very fair, but they're a quarterback factory for college football. So I'm not worried about a quarterback situation here. We know he has weapons. I actually think that Ryan Day is a very good coach. So I have $100 on them at minus 120 to make it. And then the other small bet here was $25 on FSU at plus 320. So kept it pretty safe. Nothing too wild. 2 locks in Georgia and Ohio State, and then 2 small wild cards in FSU and Texas.
All right, Christian.
Yeah, Kyle, I went similar to you. First of all, again, I did not take Georgia. Minus 220 to make a playoff is absurd for a future, in my opinion. So I stayed away. So that being the case, I did spread the love out some, especially between the 2 conferences that I really can see being a toss-up. So Pac-12 and Big Ten. So Pac-12, since I had Washington, I did take them again, plus 650. I did just do $25 on that. And then I went ahead and did USC since I didn't take them to win the conference. Just was like a little bit of a hedge in a way. So I took USC plus 250 and I put $50 on that one since I didn't have anything committed to them yet. And then Big Ten, I went Penn State again in the same way, plus 460, $50 on them. And then again, because I said I think Michigan for sure will beat Ohio State, I took them at plus 125 and I put $75 on them.
So you only have 2 conference representing in the college football playoffs.
Finally, I have Texas plus 320,
okay.
$50. Again, I think Georgia makes it, and that's not included in this, but
right.
I wasn't putting any money on it. So
no, it's fair. It's good strategy. It really is.
It is. Yep. All right. Let's move then into the third one, which is this is what we're calling fan picks for our section on here. Definitely teams that you're cheering for, have a cheering interest in. And then if you have teams that you have a cheering interest against, and this is where I will contradict myself, what I just did yet again. Let's go ahead and start with the team that I hate more than any other. Let's start with the Michigan Wolverines. They are projected at their line is at 10.5 wins for the season. That's a very narrow window. Like I said, I'm pretty confident that they lose at least one to, like I said, either Penn State, Ohio State, or to Michigan State. I think they're going to lose one of those. Michigan's facing, I mean, I know they're playing a super easy schedule for start of the season, but with them suspending Jim Harbaugh for the first 3 games of the season, there's still enough distraction that's going on there, I feel like, and there's so much hype that comes up to this. The last time I saw the Michigan preseason hype was 2006, and we know how that started, 2007, and we know how that started out. Losing to Appalachian State, so I just think it's pretty likely that they're going to have 2 losses. Still could make it to the CFP. But that's so Michigan at minus 10.5. I put 120 on it, or 150 on it. It'd be a 180 payout for winning. I'm going to go with my other anti-fan bet, and this is just because I want to get under Jared's skin. So a little bit of a. I only put $25 on it, but Clemson's 9.5. I think Clemson probably does win the ACC, but I could see potentially losing 3 games in the season. They were lost 3 games last year, right? I mean, it's you don't know. So that was $25 for $38 winning. That was plus 152.
I can't wait for them to win 10 games and then lose the conference championship. And you're just out of luck.
Yeah, lose both Clemson bets.
Yeah, that stink. So, Thomas, who you got for 2 on that side? I know you don't really have a hatred, but
yeah. I mean,
I don't really hate Clemson. I want to pick on Jared. So.
In terms of who did I pick? Yeah, so I guess in terms of pick for the 2 teams that I normally may not like, or for this season alone do not like, I did pick USC under 9. They're at 9.5. I think it's a juicy number at 9.5 plus 138. I put $125 on the under for USC. We saw what they were last year. It's going to be a really fun team. Does Caleb Williams maybe check out? We always see the star season get followed up by maybe different expectations. We always think that they take the next step. He's already the lock basically for the number 1 pick. Does he play it safe? His style can get a little reckless. If he has an early loss in the season, an early season loss, does he then take it safe? We have their reservations about defense. I just think that they're going to go under here at 9.5. The other team, I took an over, and I took the over for Coastal Carolina, a team that we historically have been rivals with at Liberty. Their win total is only at 7.5. I thought that was pretty low. So I have Coastal Carolina over 7.5 at minus 122. I put $125 on that as well.
Nice. That I like that Coastal one. I think that line is pretty disrespectful to Grayson McCall.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a great quarterback, although he has like a 1.6 GPA or something like that, which is the reason he couldn't transfer. But
Isn't that just everybody in Myrtle Beach?
that's very true.
Come on.
I just don't.
I'd have a 1.6 GPA if I went to school in Myrtle Beach.
That's very fair. I just don't like the head coaching hire. I didn't think he was a good offensive coordinator at NC State. I was never impressed that much by their offense, and so
Mhm.
I just don't think I don't think the impact will be immediate this year. I think the team isn't his yet. It's still Grayson's team on offense, and I think he'll be able to carry enough weight. Next year, there'll probably be big differences with recruiting. The offense will take a big step back. I just think this year still is a carryover year from the previous regime that will get them over the 7.5 wins.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's ultimately why I just decided to stay away from that one. So the first one that I did as a Liberty fan, I'll just say that we basically don't like any of the teams in Virginia outside of ourselves. So I took UVA under 3.5 wins at -154.
Love it.
$20 on that. I think them and ODU are probably the bottom dwellers together in the state, with Virginia Tech not too far behind them. But I think UVA's schedule will be tougher to get 4 wins than ODU's. So I went UVA under 3.5 there. I would like to save my other one until the end of this. So do you care if I hit my 2 fan teams for a second?
Go ahead.
Okay, great. So I have Liberty over 8.5 at -164. I think the 8.5 is the sweet spot. I wish we had less juice, but I do think we're probably a 9-3 team. Schedule is probably an 11-1 schedule, but new coach, new system, big changes in that system. I definitely think we could slip up a couple times, but I think that 8.5 is a good spot.
Can we pause it there?
Yes.
I want to go through the schedule, Liberty schedule, since we're all Liberty fans here.
Beautiful.
Before you do, I'm obviously taking the over there as well. So I took the over, $125. We'll lock it in. I'm assuming you took the over there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that's a fan pick, and I mean it is, sure, because
it's a fan knowledge pick.
It's a fan knowledge pick of
right?
knowing, like,
yes,
right.
There's a lot of talent on this roster still from Hugh Freeze, and I'm blanking on our coach's name. Come on, no.
Jamie.
Good grief, just say it.
What are you saying?
Our coach's name. Come on,
Jamie Chadwell.
Yeah, Chadwell. Thank you, Jeremy Chadwell. Yeah, so I think Chadwell obviously was a very good coach at Coastal. Comes in, he's excited to be here. From what I've heard, practice has been good. Seen a lot of positive things. They've built a really good team around it, and there's the Conference USA doesn't have a whole lot of strong other players in there. I think we have a pretty good, easy way of getting to 8.5. So, Christian, before we get to the schedule, any other thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't think there's any reason to take the under. I can see staying away potentially, but there's zero reason to take the under. The one thing I will say about Chadwell, because of the offense he brings in, it did take a year really to get the system in place at Coastal. So their first year they struggled, and then they really ramped it up. I think it was the same way at Charleston Southern. So that could be the same way here. But again, because of the schedule, I think even with that, the ceiling is, or the floor, I should say, I think the floor is 8 wins. So,
especially with this defense, that defensive line is still
exactly. So again, with that being the case, again, I could see staying away if you had to, but there's zero reason to take the under.
I think the number, before we go to the schedule, I think the number may be lower than we originally thought, or looks like it could be an easy over because of a new conference. The number is always baked in there when a team is moving over to a new conference because they're unsure. It's a better conference. They're unsure how we will play with that new competition, how the transition will go. So I think that's typically why the number is at 8.5 instead of maybe an even 9. It may even move to that.
It's drifted down. So it was at 9.5 when it first dropped. Then it was 9 for a while. Then it's finally got to 8.5. But that's why it's super juiced. because it's right there between 8.5 and
Yeah.
9. The other thing that I think has really just caused it to dip is just the uncertainty with quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that's the other big reason that we get that 8.5 number.
Who are you hearing?
I'm not going to say
Caden.
anything.
It's Caden. That's what I've seen, but you are a lot more plugged in.
Yeah, I can't confirm or deny.
Okay. All right. Good job. All right. Bowling Green is the first game. We're at home against Bowling Green next Saturday at noon. MAC team. Have 2 MAC teams in the schedule to start out there. I'm going to take it as a win. First home game. Liberty gets amped up. Go win there. New Mexico State. Again, win there.
Yeah,
At Buffalo.
I really like Pavia, but I think this team is going to be extra motivated, especially just after the way last season ended. So
At Buffalo, that's where I could see one being a harder win. Buffalo's
Yep.
been a leader in the MAC for a while. I don't know that changes anytime soon. So that's one that I have a toss up on there.
from what I've seen and heard, I think that line, as of if it was out now, I think that line would be about even. So
Yeah. Okay. At FIU,
that's a
feel
win.
pretty good about FIU. Sam Houston, that's feel pretty good about a win there. That is the first weeknight game, I believe. That's the Tuesday night game.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to. It's been 2015 was the last time we had week Thursday night football in Lynchburg.
Mhm.
So my first year here, I'm happy to have weeknight football back in Lynchburg again. That's going to be a lot of fun. So Sam Houston, I think, win there. At Jacksonville State.
I think that could be. I think it's trappy. It's a pretty
Yep.
short turnaround after that Sam Houston game, and I've always respected Jacksonville State as a program from their FCS days and when we played them.
Yep.
And Rich Rod, I mean, like him or not, he is a good coach. So I think that
Yep.
game could be trappy.
Yep. Middle Tennessee,
That's a win.
pretty good. Yep.
Yeah.
Western Kentucky, that's a hard one. Hilltoppers.
At Western Kentucky, that's going to be really tough.
Yep, that'll be a real hard one. Louisiana Tech, it's home, also
Yep,
harder
at home,
one.
That's a win.
Yep. The win, solid on that.
I think so at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Next one's definitely a win. Home against Old Dominion Monarchs.
Yep.
Because I want it. UMass at home.
That's a win.
That's a win. And then finally finishing out at UTEP. They're a
Could
good program too.
could be trappy, but that's a toss up. So I would say there's one, two, like this is a decent chance of a loss
Yep.
or a toss up, and then 2 that it's I think we should win, but it could be trappy. So I
you
think
maybe
that
give them one. You go split those,
Mhm.
and even if you have
lose
the other 2 losses, 3
that's 9 and 3.
9
Yep.
and 3.
All right. Well, yeah, it's gonna be a good season for Liberty football. Over 8.5 wins. We're all in on that together. All right, let's roll.
You care if I carry on?
Yeah, Christian finished.
That's
up.
right.
Yeah.
Yep, no doubt. So the other one for a fan of, I did UNC just naturally, but I did take their under 8.5 minus 150. Love Drake May, love the offense, but that defense, it was awful last year. I don't really see them trying to fix it or anything like that. It's too much of a liability. And if you look at their schedule, I think there's 5 or 6 games because of the defense that they could potentially lose. So again, I went small on it. I only have $30 on it, but I did go UNC under 8.5. And then that brings me to my last one. If you do the math, I've only spent $80 so far.
You're gonna put 420 on one here. Okay.
He's got a big bet.
I do. And there's a reason for it, and there's a reason I now hate this team. Have no reason until this year. Do you guys have any guesses? Who
Auburn.
it could be? No.
No, I have no guess.
Go a bit more west of that.
Arkansas.
A little more west.
A&M?
Yeah.
No. I'll just tell you now.
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Under
There
Mr.
it is.
Matt Rule.
You should love that he's there.
Rule.
Now he's out of your NFL
Of course,
team.
of course, but I despise the guy still. So It's not just that though. So I do have $420 on them. Minus 140 on the under 6.5.
Oh, why didn't I
Ooh.
take this? Oh, I should have.
I don't
that's
agree.
no.
I don't agree.
No, okay.
Kyle,
So
Christian, I've been fighting them since our podcast started, what, 5-6 years ago? You and Peyton, when Scott Frost first got hired, I've been fighting you guys on Nebraska, and I've been right every single year that they were never going to come back, and that the under has been a great bet every year. So thank you. Somebody's finally on my side.
So
on the Nebraska under.
I agree, but I disagree. So I think Matt Rule will right the ship at Nebraska enough. I
Somewhat.
genuinely do.
Somewhat.
As much of an awful NFL coach he is a great college coach. You cannot deny that. Look what he did at Temple. Look what he did at Baylor. But the big thing with him is culture. And that's what he does. And because of that, the first year at Temple and Baylor both was awful. It takes time. His first year at Baylor was when Liberty beat them. So that being the case, I think he'll get them to a decent spot later on. But this first season, give me that under 6.5 all day.
Under 6.5, I can be more. I'm not totally against you looking at their schedule again. Now,
and they can get to a bowl game, even.
Yeah.
Which I don't think they will, but they can.
This is. I understand, Thomas, that again that me and Peyton were on.
Hey, I'm not an old man. I don't remember when Nebraska was good, so maybe.
I barely remember when Nebraska was good.
Yeah,
but,
I know, seriously.
There's enough talent that was on that roster still. I mean, Frost recruited very well.
They did have some
good proven college coach to be able to come in, and there's 5 wins on that schedule. I think there's easily 5 wins in that schedule. I think at Colorado is a win. I think Northern Illinois, Louisiana Tech, Northwestern.
I would not be convinced that Colorado's a win yet.
This year's a win.
But with this Nebraska team,
I am.
Did you see what they lost,
Coach
last
Prime
year?
For the future? Not this year though.
Yeah, but look at.
I think they will lose one of Colorado and Louisiana Tech. I don't think those are both wins.
We'll see. Maybe we should have put more into this, but.
I'm sure
6.5.
I'm sure we'll come back
okay
to
there.
Nebraska in coming weeks. This is not going to be the last Nebraska talk.
But not be the last Nebraska talk.
Just last thing I'll say, because you got me looking at the schedule. The 2 wins I'll give them right off the bat: Northern Illinois and Northwestern. I'll give them those. Their last month of the season, I don't see a win there.
If they win week 1 versus Minnesota,
if they beat Minnesota, Colorado, Northern Illinois, Louisiana Tech, and Northwestern, that's still only 5 wins.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we can move on, but $420 on them.
All right. $20.
And more to come.
Yep. That's there you go. All right. Let's go ahead, Thomas, finish out your.
Yeah, I went UConn. Another year under Jim Mora. I think it's a nice low number. It's only over 4.5. They got to 6 wins last year in year 1. I don't think the schedule is that much tougher this year. I know they play Duke. They play NC State.
NC State, yep.
Yeah, so they have a couple of hard teams, but again,
they came together last year. Then the second half of the season,
they did. That defense was special, and they have a really good run game, and they bring back the same running backs, and I think Tyquan Robinson, who we had high hopes for last year, the 4-star transfer from Penn State, towards ACL week 1. He's projected to be fully healthy. Week 1 starter, going to add another dimension to the run game at quarterback. So hopefully, if we get anything more out of a quarterback position, we had a true freshman play last year, and we had 6 wins. So I think over 4.5. It is a little juicy. It's at minus 168, but yeah, another year under Jim Mora. Only good things. I put $125 on that.
I think that is a solid, solid wager there, Thomas. All right, I'll finish out here. Obviously, for me, it's going to be the Michigan State Spartans. So 5.5 plus 5.5 is where they're at. Now, that isn't easy with them only having 5 wins last season. That's an easy thing to look at. And for most of the offseason, I was like, yeah, that's about right where it's at. Looking at how I've gone back and done a lot of like digging back into last year. Honestly, last year, there's only 2 games that we lost that we should have won based on what that schedule was last year. There was a fluke against Indiana, and then we shouldn't have lost at Maryland. Like that was just bad play across the board from top to bottom.
And that was the game you were at, right?
That was that's when I got COVID from that game.
Yep.
That was I don't know that it's going to be a huge improvement this year. I have faith that Caton Hauser, it's between Caton Hauser and Noah Kim for starting quarterback. Apparently this week on scrimmage on last Saturday and in practice, Caton Hauser has elevated and set himself apart. There is Trey Mosley is a 5th-year senior wide receiver leader on that. You have young wide receiver talent losing Keon Coleman transferring to Florida State was a hit, but there's still young talent there, and Antonio Gates Jr. Hopefully he's coming up. It's the question's going to be that secondary still and how they can do against pass protection. That run defense is going to be linebacker play, and defensive line play for Michigan State is going to be very good this year. Offensive line is going to be the best it's been in a long time, very deep. Running back play looks like it could be very well. So really it's going to become not a quarterback play to where it's at. So all that to say, we have the second hardest strength of schedule in the country. So looking at 5.5 wins, you think that's not a lot. But hear me as I go through the list of these games. Central Michigan, I say, is a win. So count my automatic wins for me, Thomas. When I say Central Michigan, automatic win. Richmond, automatic win.
Yep.
I'll throw Washington as a loss. We'll throw Maryland as a toss.
Is it home or
home against Maryland? I'm
give it
much
away.
more. I'm like 80% on Maryland as a win. Let's go win.
Give it away.
Say,
we'll go 3.
Win then.
Yeah.
Yep. At Iowa, I'm going to say as a loss. We'll get to Iowa in a minute. At Rutgers, it's a win.
Yep.
4 right there.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to go name some losses here real quick. Being non-biased, Michigan, loss.
Yeah.
It's a rivalry game. I don't think happened. Ohio State, loss.
Yeah.
Okay. That leaves the Minnesota, Nebraska, Indiana, and Penn State. I only did 2 wins based on what I've said out of those 4.
Yeah, to get to 6.
We get one between Minnesota and Nebraska. And I believe we get one between Indiana and Penn State for sure. Maybe 2. This is the thing when we talk about matchups, what I said there, when I think Penn State's a very good team. Michigan State historically has played the last 6-7 years has played James Franklin very well.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what the record is. During James Franklin's tenure at Penn State, what is the split between MSU and Penn State?
Yeah, we beat them heavily even too at points in time, and we had a lot of upsets against them. Friday night, Thanksgiving night, Ford Field, neutral field, a lot to be up against the last game of the season. It's a really tough schedule. It's an odd thing. I don't want to say I'm happy with 6 wins, but 6 wins, I'm like, okay.
You're probably happy 6 wins and you saw improvement at quarterback. Yeah. Like you feel good about quarterback. It was better than last year, and you have something moving forward next year where if it's 6 wins and quarterback play was atrocious, then you probably don't feel good. But if it's 6 wins and quarterback, you finally feel good for the first time in for a year. Like when was the last time you felt good at quarterback?
2 years ago.
2 full years.
Yeah, he was. Peyton Thorne was great in 2021. He had Kenneth Walker to disguise for him, so it worked quite well. Even though he's apparently been named the starter at Auburn, so we'll see how that goes there as well too. Offensive line to protect them, maybe you can do well. So anyway, like that's 6 wins. I'm happy with when 4. You're playing 4 of the top preseason 8 teams in the country between Florida State or Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, and Penn State. 4 of the top 8 teams preseason. I mean, if you get 6 wins by having that on your schedule when you're not a top 25 team, that's again, it's crazy to say that you're going to be like okay with 6 wins, but I'll be okay with 6 wins as things sit right now.
Yep.
Because
either you're
take
getting
much
an
for me to be on.
upset. Sorry.
What are the odds at 5.5?
So at
even?
5.5,
Oh, yeah.
This is why it wasn't hard for me to take this as a fan pick. 4.5 is plus 148.
You're 5.5. 5.5 wins.
5.5 wins is plus 148.
148.
250 gets
Yeah.
370.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
good.
Wasn't a hard one for me to take based on what that is. Like, there's no way.
Especially when you go through the schedule like that, I could easily see 6 wins. Yeah.
Knowing that if they correct and don't do the stupid mistakes they had last year, they should be at that. But it's a fine.
See,
Like
the
five
there,
wins, I'm upset. 6 wins, I'm fine. 7 wins,
the floor there is
glad.
5 wins. When you go through the schedule, I
Yep.
really don't see a scenario where they're under 5 wins. So
I'm getting at plus 148 just to get one more win. That's great. I like that a lot.
Yep. So, yeah, we'll see how things go here. I'm hoping for at least growth this year and see where it can take us moving forward. So, I will say this with that schedule, like I named off, just to be on a fan side of things, real quick. Starting out with having Central Michigan, Richmond, Washington, Maryland, at Iowa, at Rutgers. Okay. While I'm saying 6 wins, if we're able to somehow beat Washington, my entire outlook and perspective on what I want for the season changes. I'm not anywhere close to happy with 6. I'm not happy with 7 wins if we beat Washington. Week 3 will tell me how I'm going to feel for the rest of the season all the way through. We beat Washington, we better win 8 games. So
you beat Washington, you might start what, 6-0 at that point?
No,
you still have Iowa, and I'm going to get to at Iowa in a moment still as well too. But if we beat at Iowa, that takes us to 6-0 going into Michigan. So, which is a 7:30 at night game in East Lansing. Get ready. All right, let's move on to the final group here. This is going to be our 4-season wagers. So we must wager on a Heisman winner, and then choose a 3-way parlay. And the other 2 wagers can be whatever you want for the season total.
Let's start with Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start
with Heisman.
Yep. Yeah,
I'm taking Michael Penix Jr. This is where my biggest bet for a payout will come from this. That's plus 1,200. So 150 would win me 1,800. He's 3rd right now in preseason picks behind Caleb Williams, and then I don't remember who number 2 was.
It's probably Drake May. No,
maybe
second odds.
I forgot.
Second best.
No, Drake May is actually a little bit further down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Christian, who you got for Heisman?
I went Jordan Travis plus 1,200 as well, $50. This one for me, again, it's just dipping back in the Florida State pot. I didn't take them to make the playoff at all, so I decided this would be a good spot to back them up. So I went Jordan Travis plus 1,200. The one thing I was going to say is, like, Thomas, we'll see who you said, but if you took Caleb Williams, like, okay, good.
It would have been smart, but
I think Caleb Williams could have been the dumbest bet somebody could have taken in this thing.
With those odds, yes. With the odds that
way too little to pay out.
The amount of voter fraud, or not fraud,
mistrust. I don't know.
No, voter. They just get tired.
Biased?
They're not going to vote for the same guy 2 years in a row. That's just how it is.
So hard.
Voter fatigue. So there we go.
Yeah, fatigue. There you go. Yeah, no, that's why I really didn't like anybody at the top. I took a dart. I took a dart throw here. I took Tanner Mordecai. I mean, the odds are plus 12,000.
Oh my gosh!
Okay. Yeah, it's $50 to win 6,000.
Yeah, you'd win the whole thing with that right there, buddy.
Yeah, that would be the money play. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
here, so I took a stab here, and the reason is, as of right now, Wisconsin is favored in every game except for one, right? So there is a case as of now. I know you don't like.
We're gonna get to that in a second.
Okay, but they are favored right now in every game but one. That's the Ohio State game. If they win that Ohio State game, even if they don't, even if they go 11-1, right? But if they win that Ohio State game, that's a springboard for him and Heisman. He jumps up like crazy. But he's had 2 big years at SMU. Previously, he was at Oklahoma, right? So he's got the pedigree. 2 really big years. And I just think I could see him. There's an avenue for him to kind of be this year's Drake May as far as coming up, putting his name in the hat. Probably not winning it, but with those odds, $50 to win 6,000. And I don't, right, like you guys said, Caleb Williams is really the huge favorite, and everything after that, nothing really jumps out to me. So I took a stab here and went with Tanner.
I respect it.
All right.
Kyle, I know you don't, but I respect it. So
It's not against Tanner Mordecai necessarily. You know what? Let's go to the parlay next.
Go for
let's
it.
while
right.
we're on it, let's just go ahead and let's get my parlay. All right, my parlay is set for $150. That is 1201 is what we told my parlay to be, and I'm going to be putting $150 on that. My three-way parlay is North Carolina State. His win total is plus 6.5. North Carolina State was 8-14 last year. I don't think they've lost a ton. They don't have that hard of a schedule. I feel pretty confident in them being able to get at least 7 wins.
I mean, they lost their starting quarterback.
Yeah, they did. They did lose.
It's
Leary.
They're still
and the drop off from him was massive.
He was that team.
It's the ACC.
Genuinely, they could not score a touchdown without him. Genuinely.
Although I haven't looked into the team, so I don't know who's starting this year. Who would be the new quarterback? They've had some luck in bringing in good transfers over the years.
Sure.
So they usually have a good plan at quarterback. So I will give you that. I haven't done too much research on their team, but
so on their schedule, but
it is low. I get the logic.
I think I think the UConn can be a tough opponent, but I think they can win. They win that game.
Yes, please.
So yeah. So UConn win, VMI win, Virginia win, Louisville win, Marshall win. There's 5 right there.
All right. Fair.
Then you still have Duke, Miami, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech. You're telling me you're not going to get at least 2 more out of that?
Yeah,
and maybe
7 wins.
North Carolina.
7 wins is pretty realistic.
Yeah, I think they get 7 wins. Anyway, all right. So that's my first one of my parlay. Second one of my parlay is Iowa is my pick to win the West, the Big Ten West. Iowa's defense is a lot of the same that I had last year. That was a leading defense in the country. Iowa is a ground run and pound offense that will work well in the West. I know everybody's talking Wisconsin potentially. I don't buy it. We'll get to that in a second here as well too. Sneak peek. With Cade McNamara, who saw him in a similar type of offense in Michigan, where he got to be a game managing quarterback, where it was a run first heavy, tight end use offense, is going to be very similar to what was done in Michigan in 2021. I think they are easily going to be able to win the Big Ten West. I think all you got to get to is 9 wins, and I think they can get there. So,
did you? I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw something on formerly known as Twitter today that was basically saying their offensive coordinator has a new piece in his contract that said they have to average over 20 points a game or else he's fired.
Yep. Yeah, because they were so low last year. I don't think it's going to be hard for it to happen this year, though.
Is that true? Do you know?
I don't know if it's true or not. It doesn't surprise me. I mean,
sure.
that's been the frustration, is that the offense have not had anything of movement. They haven't really had a lot of pieces there for it. I think that Cade McNamara, the game manager that he brings in, that he is, and then they're bringing Eric All from Michigan with him as well too. Offense is just that much older, stout offensive line, going to be a run game attack first. The defense is going to keep that offense to give them chances. The Big Ten West isn't going to be hard to get 8-9 wins out of, I don't think, for that team. So I'm pretty confident that Iowa wins the West and plays in the Big Ten championship. So then that brings me to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's win over under is 8.5 wins. I know that everybody is saying that they are on it. And everybody is on it because of Tanner Mordecai and because of not Fleck. Oh my gosh. Luke Fickell. Thank you. Luke Fickell coming into, because he's been at such a success at Cincinnati and coming into Wisconsin. They are switching to an air raid offense with linemen who, yes, are good linemen, but linemen that are built for run offense linemen that are 375 pounds plus. They do not have the speed. But I'm not saying maybe by the end of the year they might be able to get to be close to a top 25 team. I just don't think it's 8.5 wins. They have a tough schedule. That's a huge change for your first year to be able to go to. I don't buy it. I do not see them getting above 8.5 wins. So I am taking the under there for Wisconsin to be less than 8.5.
No, I do think we're going to need to reduce the odds of your parlay a little bit, though, because, like when you make a same game parlay, the odds can be like reduced if two things are like directly like dependent on each other.
Oh, because of
or
Iowa and
correlated.
Wisconsin?
Yeah, so we might need to just have a little self-adjustment there. I also just
Okay.
don't. I also don't think NC State's going to hit, but I think they're going to lose to UConn week 1. Anyway,
All right, so I do have an update on who most likely their quarterback will be, and it's Brennan Armstrong, who was the transfer from, I believe, Virginia. He's like
Okay.
a fifth-year starter grad transfer from Virginia. He had some success. I mean, put up numbers. So at least it's not a total dud and they're turning it over to a true freshman or anything like that. So they have some stability at quarterback.
I will say that Wisconsin under 8.5. That is one of my most confident picks on this entire board of Wisconsin being under 8.5.
I like it.
I should have put.
I like Wisconsin.
I saved it for to go into my parlay to throw it in here. I think that Luke Fickell's going to do great in Wisconsin. That the air raid's going to work down in the future. It's not going to work in year one.
You could have totally bypassed that Michigan bet and just bet the under on Wisconsin. Who was your other hate bet that you did?
Well, I don't hate Wisconsin though. I know,
but you did with Michigan, and what was the second team?
Clemson.
Earlier.
I could have thrown Wisconsin.
Yeah, you could have thrown if you're so confident. You could have thrown away that and
I should have
done Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yep. All right, Thomas, what do you got?
Parlay. All right, so parlay. I had 3 conference winners. I had FSU, which I've already talked about, right? And I have Liberty winning, which we've already talked about. I like their odds, obviously. And the third one, Christian, I know you put kind of put a damper on a bit, but I had Coastal Carolina. I like their odds to win the Sun Belt. So I parlayed the 3 of them, FSU, Liberty, and Coastal, each to win their conference. $50 to win 2,500. So it's 5,000 odd, plus 5,000 odds. I like the odds there. Shot in the dark. I think at least FSU and Liberty have a really good shot. And so adding Coastal Carolina in there just on pedigree, maybe they get one
just
more
to lose it all for you.
Yeah, just to lose it all, most likely. Maybe we'll get a little cash out option there. I always like a little bit of obviously maybe no cash out on conference winners probably, but that would be my parlay, $50 to win 2,500.
I like it. So for myself, I have a plus 824 that I put $125 on. So the first leg is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. to win the Fred. I'm going to try to pronounce it correctly. The Fred Biletnikoff Award. Is that correct?
Biletnikoff. Yep.
Sure. Yep. So for top receiver, that's plus 200. But then, if you look, it's plus 200 for him. The next guy is like plus 1,200. So I was actually surprised that he wasn't even lower than that, even if he doesn't play a full season. Which
who won? Do you know who won last year? Was it?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. I'll maybe look it up while you're.
Yeah. That'd be great. I'd be curious, but I can even see a situation where he tweaks his hamstring with a few games left and doesn't play to save his draft stock like a couple other guys from Ohio State have done. But regardless, if he puts up a couple monster games, I think that award is his to win. Second thing, this is where I brought Georgia into play just because we're doing a parlay. So actually, I went really safe. I said Georgia to win the SEC East, which was literally like minus 400. But again, it works on this parlay.
Add it in. Yeah.
Exactly. And then finally, I have Wisconsin to win the Big Ten West.
Let's go.
Let's go.
You're crazy. Kyle and I are directly in opposition there. That'll be very fun to see. But those 3 together bring me to plus 824.
Illinois,
it.
Minnesota have a better chance of winning it than
No, stop it.
Wisconsin.
And the Fred Biletnikoff winner
Mhm.
last year was Jalen Hyatt.
That was Jalen.
That makes
Jalen Hyatt.
sense.
And the
Yep.
year before, Jordan Addison, Devontae Smith. So yeah,
Yep.
some pretty good pedigree, but I like it. I like
Yeah.
it.
All right. I'm gonna go with my next one.
Go with both because
I'm-
we have the two. We have the
Mhm.
two kind of outlier.
I want to go
bets,
last
right?
then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll go.
That,
I'll go
that
for
is
it.
that is the outlier bets. This is the
Mhm.
two
Yes.
final outliers.
We
I
have
wanna
the
finish
two
mine.
final outlier or more. So, I
Yep.
don't know if either of you went more than that, but I went. I just went with two. Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
One I alluded to. Actually, I'll go with the one that I've talked about the most so far. Sticking with the Florida State theme here. Florida State to make the college football playoffs. I obviously already put a small bet on them in my CFP teams, but I'm doubling down here at plus 320. I'm putting $450 on
Wow.
Florida State to make the college football playoff. They have, like you said, Christian, you already picked Jordan Travis for your Heisman pick, right? So
Mhm.
they have elite quarterback. Trey Benson was an amazing running back last year. He actually earned an elite 91.4 rushing grade last year from PFF. Finished 2022 with the highest missed tackles forced average that PFF has ever seen in the last 10 years. So elite rushing game, elite quarterback play, and then looking at the defense, they have probably the best edge rusher in the country in Jared Verse. So I really like their odds, getting great odds at plus 320. I put $450 there. And then
Like it.
sticking with this was tough finding kind of future bets that go off. College football, you're a little bit limited. We have some more freedom with NFL next week, but I'm sticking with the college football playoff theme here. A team that I didn't touch earlier, but I like Utah. They bring in a lot of starters back at plus 900 to make the college football playoffs. I like the odds there. I put
Utah's gonna be
400.
sneaky. Utah's
Yeah,
always sneaky.
they're always sneaky. I put $450 on that as well. So this one could be a big one if they get there, plus 900. USC, they've had USC's number the last few years, right? They beat them last year. They
That was a
have
great game.
CFP.
Yes,
Yep.
it was a great game. They have
Mhm.
road meetings with Arizona State, Notre Dame, and Oregon. Those are their big games. But if they come out clean there, they return 16 starters on the team, 9 of them on defense. So their defense is basically fully back. And we get, like I said, Cameron Rising back, who had a great year last year. So I think they're going to be on a baseline very solid. And if they can win the Pac-12 plus 900 odds there, I like it.
Nice. I like it. So while you took some stabs, I went more for season win totals, just trying to, again, accumulate that money as opposed to taking big stabs, except for the couple things that we had to. So the first one, $125 on, I have UAB under 4.5 wins at plus 100. So they've been a pretty good program the last few years, ever since they were resurrected. But they have a new coach, and his name is Trent Dilfer.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes,
coming
it is
from
Trent Dilfer.
coming from Lipscomb Academy,
Yeah.
in Nashville. Here's the thing: he's only been a coach at high school so far. He's been a good coach. That Liberty was recruiting their quarterback pretty heavily, and then once he signed the head coaching job here at UAB, the quarterback decided to go there. But you would think it's your first time coaching college. You want to surround yourself with some college coaching experience. He did not. He basically brought in his whole high school staff. I think that's going to go terribly. They had a ton of pieces transfer out. They've had more transfer out since he got there. I think it's going to be a mess. I think that he could be out of town in a year or two.
He's tough. He's a tough SOB. Like seeing all those videos in the past year or so in high school, he lets it rip on his players, and that might not work well with some people, right? I mean, some players.
I mean,
nowadays.
for that
So
to work, you have
see
to
that.
be in touch with the players.
It can work in college. It worked in high school, but definitely wouldn't work in the NFL. And it depends. Like you said, it's tricky. It could rub people wrong, at least initially.
And here's the other thing. You don't have to be the best player in the world to be a good coach. You don't have to be a player at all to be a good coach. But the guy, if we're going to claim he's really good at offense and all these kind of things from a coaching perspective, he also never threw for over 60% in the NFL one season.
All right.
So
I
I'm just,
don't know how this factors in, but
I'm just saying I don't think it's going to go well at all. So I did go UAB under 4.5 plus $125. Finally, doubling down on Nebraska under 6.5. I threw another $700 down. So total, I have $1,120 on Nebraska under 6.5, and that would win 800 for me. So
All right.
go big or go home.
All right. I'll knock the easy one out real quick. Georgia national championship, get a three-peat. First time since Minnesota did it back in the 1950s to have a college football team three-peat. I'm fairly confident in that. I just don't. Kirby Smart is the new.
You're not a little bit worried with Todd Monken now gone, new OC?
No,
I mean, I'm not leaning one way or the other there. I'm just throwing it out there that
I mean, Mike Bobo is a good OC, so he was there at Georgia before he left for a while. It's remains to be seen how it'll work with Kirby because he wasn't with him when he was OC before, but he is a good OC.
Yeah, they're just an extremely well coached team, and Kirby seems to keep on rebuilding, and I don't see him having to deal with a whole lot of injuries leading up to the end of the season. I think the depth's just there to be able to make a run at it, and so it was easy for me to throw $200 at this for a plus 220, so pay out 400, double it up on here. So the next one, I've been waiting for this guy, and now Jared Jeffers, this is talking to you because me and you had a debate in our text group. I do not hate Alabama. I don't. Thomas, you've been doing this with me for how many years? When have I ever actually showed Alabama hate? I pick Alabama almost all the time, and I don't complain about it at all. Like, I'm not an Alabama fan, but like, I don't.
You're
hate
neutral.
Alabama.
Neutral.
I'm
We're
neutral.
neutral.
I'll pull for Alabama most of the time. Like, I don't hate them like everybody else does at all. I think of any team that's built a dynasty that has been fine by it and has the right to brag. I think it's Alabama. Sure, maybe you want to see somebody else different up there, but I don't hate Alabama. So no, let's clear that up, Jared. I do not hate Alabama. I am not an Alabama hater. Alabama is line for win totals is minus 10.5 at minus 184. I'm putting $500 on Alabama finishing less than 10.5 to only paying me $271.74. I am very confident in Alabama not having 10.5 wins this season. I'm confident enough that if I could make this bet and I could find a future for it, I would take Alabama for sure at 9.5. I'd go down to 9 even quite confidently in the fact. Here
I don't disagree.
That Alabama team last year, sure, they were 11-2 is what they finished last year. That Alabama team last year was way closer to an 8-4, 8-5 team.
They should have lost the Texas game.
The Texas game, they got away with one there. They got away with the A&M game. They Ole Miss was only a 6-point loss. I mean, you're talking 3 games right there that easily could have swung the other way to have potentially a 5-loss team for that. And Alabama's not a bad team. I'm just saying there's enough that they were good last year with having how much experience there. Coming into this year, is it going to be Tyler Buchner or is it going to be Jalen?
Probably going to be Milroe.
I think Alabama's still going to be good. I just don't know that it's traditional Nick Saban good. I just think it's a down year. Likely it has to happen at some point in time, and taking into effect, I don't know that it's the same Alabama that it's had, and there's enough there to what it was on last year, knowing that it's probably a little bit less of a talent team than even last year was. Okay, number 11 Texas, number 22 Ole Miss, number 23 Texas A&M, number 12 Tennessee, and then number 5 LSU, and then you still got enough other variables in there that could throw you a curveball. I mean, at Auburn for the Iron Bowl is still the Iron Bowl. Like, I mean, you should win that one, but you don't know. I think it's easy for me to say 2 losses for sure. I have no doubt in my mind to be able to throw two losses on it. And again, let me clarify, Jared. I'm not cheering for this. I'm just saying I think it's a down year, and I'm pretty confident in that. And I'd be
You're going
confident enough
stats
to take this that they do not finish. The other line that I would take is that Alabama does not finish in the top 12 in the regular season. I'm very confident in saying that. So,
I mean, I totally agree as well. I mean, I know you could say I'm a little biased at this point, but Bryce Young is a generational mind, if nothing else. So you're going to have probably at least a win drop off right there from him to whoever else is going to be the quarterback.
Easily. The difference in the Bryce Young was probably worth at least 2 to 3 wins last year for last year's team. You know, I don't know how the rest of the roster will stack up, but there's a big drop off. Yeah,
I agree with Kyle that they dropped off from last year as well in overall talent outside of quarterback. Nick Saban's obviously a great coach, but at the same time, I think Alabama has also lost their mojo a bit in terms of overall presence in the college football world. If you ask recruits, like if you could go anywhere in the country, where would you want to go?
Georgia.
It's Georgia. So, and that was, again, Nick Saban is an incredible coach, if not the top college football coach.
They're still bringing in top 5, top 1, 2, 3 classes, but it's not the 5-star heavy; it's the 4-star
exactly.
heavy.
And that's what ultimately Alabama did rely on, that being
the 5-star heavy,
the place that everybody wants to go to. Now they don't have that, and they're experiencing the repercussions of it. So I think this is great, Kyle.
You see it alone in the wide receiver production last year and now this year. They're not getting the wide receiver production or recruit that they were the last 10 years. And you can't name a wide receiver on the roster right now. I mean, we'll see if any of them produce out of expectations, but they didn't have anybody last year that overproduced. And as of right now, they don't have the guy that's out there, especially in the whole new running back room as well. So it's the offense could be what we were used to 10 years ago from Alabama offenses, where and I don't know if that defense is now the defense to be scared of.
Now let me turn it for just a second. It's still Nick Saban. It's still Saint Nick. As much as I say this,
which just gives you the floor.
I also wouldn't be surprised at all he turns around and runs for a 14-0 national championship.
No, I don't see that, but I
don't see it. I wouldn't be surprised, is what I'm saying, because
the Nick Saban is the Bill Belichick. It's the Bill Belichick effect, where there is a floor of, with Belichick, there's a floor of 8 wins, right? Regardless of what roster you give him, there is a floor of 8 wins. Kind of the same thing with Saban. Regardless of whatever recruits or roster you give him right now, the floor is most likely 8 wins, regardless. Now, if there's anything additional to that, in win total, then we'll see. But the floor is 8 wins.
So let's just have fun on this topic for a second longer. And to wrap up real quick, Justin, I'm sorry. For your sake, I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to go against your Crimson Tide, because I don't hate the Crimson Tide like Jared claims that I do. So anyway, let's move on the Saint Nick topic for just a second. This wasn't in our show prep. Does Saban have one more natty in him?
Probably not. No, I say more likely no.
I think likely not.
Although, how many more years did he sign up? Right? What is that contract? Has he got like 7 more years on under contract?
I don't know.
It was pretty hefty. I mean,
It doesn't stop him from retiring.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But if he lives out that contract and he has 7 more chances, then a lot could change. But I say no.
Yeah.
I struggle to see a transition happen in even those 7 years where, Georgia is going to be the top team for at least the next few more. If it's just 2 or 3, and look around the SEC, and there's a lot of young up and coming coaches that are really strong. And so again, I agree that the floor is probably going to be always 8 wins. But SEC and even around the country, I think it's going to look drastically different.
The changing of college football landscape. Let's be honest. In 2030, we're probably looking. That's a long way off. Saying probably not coach on 2030, but that's going to what we're going to go towards, where the whole way things
Well, we
are
didn't
done, the
even
culture's changing.
we didn't even mention it, but what next year goes to 12 for the college football
8
playoffs, right?
next year.
8 or
12 or 8
12?
next year.
It's
I
12.
think it goes straight
12.
to 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So next year goes straight to 12, which reduces the odds of any team, right? You have extra games to be able to have to win, and we always know that can decrease odds for any team. And then the expansion of the SEC, right?
That's what I was
Bringing in
going to say.
Texas
Texas and Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
And
going to
who
make it
else?
tougher.
And who knows what else could in the next couple of years? It could
Mhm.
be a 20 team division.
Yeah. I'm not, again, I'm not an Alabama
Mhm.
fan either, but part of me would like to me, he's probably the greatest college football coach of all time. I mean, I feel pretty confident and safe saying that. I would have liked to have seen him go out with a natty, and so I don't know that it happens. I kind of hope that he's able to at least get one more. I probably wouldn't bet on that he does either, though, just with changing and the way things are looking.
I think it is more likely that they become consistently upper middle of the SEC as opposed to him winning another national championship. But I think consistently Georgia, Texas, LSU, Oklahoma, potentially if they get things figured out, Tennessee, potentially. I think there's a whole slew of teams that could consistently start being above Alabama every year.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our season preview of our picks. So hopefully you enjoyed those aspects. Our episodes are going to be much shorter.
Are we doing week 0 real quick?
We're going to do week 0 real quick here.
Okay.
Just laying that out. This is a long episode. A lot we talk about in here. Normally our episodes we're going to shoot for about a half hour, 40 minutes. We're going to go for. Thanks for holding on and listening to us. Give us a few more minutes here. Christian, walk us through the games that we're picking for this week 0 with bets here.
Yeah, so we have 3 games going on. Well, there's 7 total. We decided to just focus on 3 of them for this week. So the first one, we have Navy against Notre Dame in Ireland. It's the first game of the season. It's on Saturday, 2:30 Eastern. Then after that, we have San Jose State at Southern California. That one's at 8 o'clock Eastern. And then finally, the nightcap at 9 o'clock Eastern, we have FIU at Louisiana Tech.
All right.
And now we are using our in-season budget of $5,000.
Our season budget.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm only taking $50 out of my $5,000
total
for this week total.
Yeah.
For week 0. And I'm putting 10 of it on. I'm gonna go gutsy the first one. I think Notre Dame's good. I don't think Navy's good, but 20.5 points is a big spread there in Ireland. It's a change up. I'm gonna say Navy covers.
Thomas?
Okay, we'll go game by game. I will play it extremely safe and extremely reserved. $10 a game. $10 on each underdog to cover, because I have absolutely no idea with these week 0 games. So give me Navy plus 20.5 for $10.
Hey, all right. Way to go,
So
buddy.
I did go a bit more aggressive, just because I feel like I have some more confidence. I've done a decent amount of prep for week 0. So I basically went with what I would consider a standard unit based on the $5,000 budget. So I did $100 on each game. So first of all, I also have Navy plus 20.5.
All right, I feel good.
I do have. I know we're already running a lot, but I do actually have a pretty solid breakdown for each of these. So if you have 2 minutes for this, I'd love to go over why I like Navy.
Let's do it.
Perfect. So first of all, service academies. If they are over 2 touchdown dogs, that's an auto bet for me. They all run the triple option. What that means, they're limiting possessions. They're running the clock a lot. Naturally, they're going to be keeping things a lot closer. I forget the exact numbers, but I think that typically hits like at 60% or so. Also, taking a look at Navy, since 2005, when they are underdogs of at least 7, they are against the spread 31, 19, and 2. When they're at least 10-point underdogs since 2005 against the spread, they're 10, 4, and 1. When they're 17-point underdogs, they're 5 and 1. And when they're 20-point underdogs, they are 3 and 0 since 2005, with 2 of those being against Notre Dame. They also, from a football perspective, they return a lot. They do switch to a Kennesaw option, which we've seen that in the Liberty's last couple of years in the Big South. It's a really, really strong version of the triple option. They return 80% of their offensive line snaps. They return 85% of their rushing yards, and Notre Dame returns less than 50% of their defense. So I think it's going to be a tight game. I think Notre Dame will be good this season. I think Sam Hartman is the real deal. I think he's going to go really well in this new offense that they have. But in this first game, this is just way too many points. So I like Navy plus 20.5.
All right. I like it. All right. So next, let's go with what's the time of the games? Let's go with USC next then. So USC Trojans taking on the San Jose State Spartans. This is the Trojan War, but it's not supposed to be the Trojan War because USC joined the Big Ten. That's going to be our thing. I really like, the game in Ireland. I said with USC joining the Big Ten, you need to do this game next year for Michigan State and USC. It needed to be done in Greece. I mean, you should have had it. Like, it would have been a great way to kick off the new Big Ten rival
in Athens. Ooh.
And then, yes. And it would have been great. Anyway, so this is also a Trojan War here. I'm going to take USC to cover, though, against the Trojans. 30.5. It's a lot, but I think they come out storming. So
nice.
So I see it at 30, 31, I think. Shop the best number. But going with no research in these week 0 games, I'm going the underdog. I'll go plus 31 for San Jose State, $10. Christian, I will be joining you next week with standard units, going off of unit plays. But again, week 0, I'll go with a 0.1 unit here, basically.
Sure.
In San Jose State.
So I went over 66.5, minus 105. Again, $100 on that.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. USC's offense, we don't need to go into that. It's incredible. The other thing is, two different aspects. So one, their first game of the season last year was against Rice. They won 66-14. So they went hard the whole game. There's no changes to this offense. So I don't see any reason for them to go vanilla because there's already film on this offense. Without
Jordan Addison.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But that, along with the precedents from last year, I felt good about that.
Sure.
San Jose's defense also lost 3 all-conference players. They still have some decent guys, but it's a lot of production that they lost. But I do like San Jose State to score some points as well. That's why I was kind of unsure about the spread. Their quarterback, probably top 2 or 3 quarterback in the Mountain West, had 3,000 yards passing last year. He had over 30 touchdowns between passing and rushing. So he's really solid. They returned their top running back. They returned their entire offensive line. And as we talked about earlier, USC's defense is a big liability. I think they're going to be a little bit better this year, but last year they were bottom 10 in FBS and yards allowed per play. So that's pretty drastic to me. So that being the case, I think San Jose State can put up 20, 25 points, somewhere in that range. If that's the case, I think the over should hit pretty easily.
All right, Thomas.
I gave my bet. I said San Jose. Oh, next game.
Going with FIU and.
Well, then we're going. Actually, I was gonna stick to all underdogs here, but give me Louisiana Tech minus 11.
What changed?
I just hate FIU in general. So they're losing. They're losing bad. Louisiana Tech minus 11, $10. There you go. Nice. Week 0 done. I'm out. $30 total. Wow. Risky.
Kyle?
All right. So I am going to actually turn this one into a parlay.
I sense you doing work right now.
He's
Yes.
doing a couple of calculations. The mind is rolling at 11 p.m.
You know what? Do I do
Do
it?
it.
Whatever it is, go for it.
No, I can't get it to work. I'm not going to go with it. I'm just going to go with a straight wager. I'm going to take Louisiana Tech to cover at 10. We're going to put the $5 on it. That'll pay.
What were you
435.
thinking?
I was thinking if I could run it, it wasn't worth enough payoff. I was going to go the 10.5 Louisiana Tech covering, the minus 450, and then the over 58.5.
Fair
But
enough.
it wasn't. It was only going to pay out like $11 compared to $485 for the $5. I'm like, I'm not going to throw a three-way into that one.
Sure.
Not worth it.
I went $100 as well. I did take Louisiana Tech. I actually, I'm going to take an alt line. So I saw 13 minus 13.5 plus 110. So again, I just wanted to have one that was a little plus money. With FIU, their offense is interesting. So they are very aggressive and it's very boomer bust. So they went 4-8 last year. They had 4 wins that most of them are a little bit on the upset side, but they had 8 losses. Take a guess at what their average marginal loss was in those 8 games.
17.
Kyle.
12.
33.
Oh,
Even better.
So they were top 15 in the country and going forward on 4th down. They were top 5 and going forward on 4th down in their opponent territory. So again, that was very boomer bust. A couple times it did work out great. A lot of other times it did not work out. So I think Louisiana Tech has the pieces. They're a top half of the Conference USA team. I think they get it done. That's why I altered it up just a tiny bit, because I think if they win, they're going to win big. There is a world where I think FIU could win outright, but I'm glad neither of you just tried to take FIU on the spread, because I don't think that makes any sense.
Yeah. So if you're going for him, go money line.
Exactly. That's what I think. And it's above like plus 300.
If Butch Davis was still the coach, then I would do it.
Sure. That's fair. So yeah, that being said, I really like Louisiana Tech. So I went alt minus 13.5.
I respect it. You put a lot more money. I spent $50 total on week 0 here.
I could be 300 down by Saturday night. So who knows?
Hey,
it's all good.
There you go. I'm saving for week 1. I already got some week 1.
Can I transfer some of my college money over to my NFL money? Is this a rule? Is there no rule against that?
I don't think that's how it works.
That's not how it works. The currency isn't. It's 2 different Monopoly games. We got Monopoly Europe and Monopoly US, so it's not possible.
No Bitcoin. No Bitcoin here. no Monopoly Bitcoin. Sorry.
So, all right. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Glad you hung with us tonight. Hope you enjoy this. Again, we do not condone you gambling. This is for entertainment purposes only. Do not take our advice and play with real money with it, because we do not want you to do that, because especially if you lose, then we're going to feel really bad. So this is for entertainment only. If you have gambling, don't. Just have fun and place your bets with Monopoly money. Thanks for listening. Check us back again next week. We will be back for 2 shows next week. We'll have a NFL preseason pick show like this again next week for the same kind of layout, similar. And we will also have our college football week 1 episode. All right. Thanks for listening. Have a great one.